Hey guys, if you want to get Radiant Aim that looks like this and transfers over into Valorant from both AimLab and Kovacs, make sure to click my link down in the description below for my $5 Patreon Aim Trainer course. Please enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be talking about the top 3 ways that I like to improve my aim, or if I want to get my aim like really good. These are the top 3 ways that I use. There are definitely other ways you can use, but these are my favorite 3 and I find them to be most effective. I'll give you guys the no specific order, but first of all, this is my classic. So this is what I used to do whenever I was like first starting Valorant and really wanting to get better. And this is just simply in the range. You guys have heard this on the channel before. It's nothing crazy, right? You simply come into the range, you click practice. There are also settings. If you hit F3, you can change it to easy, medium, hard. You can like make them strafe, turn infinite ammo on. You can turn bot armor on and off, and there's eliminate 50 or 100. So really, you can just use this. This is a tool, right? The range is a tool that you can use to your however you want, right? So for me, I like to warm up. I like to just shoot these guys, and I like to kind of strafe. So I like to strafe back and forth, because remember, aim is not just aim, right? You're not just aiming whenever you're in a game. You're not, your other hand's not just off the keyboard. You're not just using your mouse. You're using your keyboard. You're moving around, right? Aim is not separate from movement. So you must combine training your aim with your movement. You don't always have to do this, right? This is, you have aim trainers where you're not going to always be moving in a task, but in a game like Valorant where you need to be moving, it's really good to be like throwing in strafes between shots, or when you're in deathmatch, you're actually training both. So it's not just one or the other, you're actually doing both. So I like to do both. I might like to come out to the side or come up a bit closer here and continue strafing. Maybe strafe twice to the right, twice to the left, 3 times to the left, twice, and then so basically the point of alternating how you strafe is to kind of confuse your opponents. So this video is not about strafing though, it's about aiming. So the reason I like to come up closer is because, again, whenever you're fighting people in a competitive game, you're not fighting people from just this range right here. You're fighting them from all over the place. So you're fighting them from closer, you're fighting them from the side, you're even going to be behind people sometimes, right? And sometimes you're going to be really up close to someone because you're in a smoke or you're in some kind of ult or something, right? And so you're going to need to be able to aim. So I also kind of like to strafe and like make sure my aim is good as I'm strafing. So whenever I strafe, I'm adjusting my crosshair accordingly. But really just kind of like be shooting here. You don't have to strafe all the time, but really just get comfortable from all different angles. Remember that also there are high ground situations in Valorant. There are also low ground situations where you're going to be lower than your opponent. Say the opponent's in heaven. Unfortunately, we can't really test that in the range, but that is okay. Right, and then I like to come around. Come up closer. The closer you are, the more you're gonna have to flick. You see this? So the farther away I am, the less I have to move to go as much distance. So if you see it when I'm really close, I have to move like a lot. I have to flick a lot, whereas if I'm all the way back here, I barely need to flick like to get to one of these guys at all. And so this is something you really want to realize. So whenever you're farther away, your aiming style is just going to be a little bit different, which is completely okay. Basically, these are just things you want to build into your muscle memory, right? And this is a really nice warm up. So you can do that close. You can come over here. You get the gist, right? This is very simple. You guys can play with it yourself. I like to do eliminate 50 or something, and then you turn this off, hit start, and then come out to the side and just do this, and then time yourself, right? So you time yourself, and you're practicing from different locations. You're practicing from the middle, from the left, and from the right. Different spots, and then you're timing yourself and you're trying to improve your time. This is how I used to train every single day before I played comp, and if I were to come back and grind out Valorant, which I probably will again, this is something that I would do. So let's go ahead and move on to the next tip to improve your aim. Okay, so the next tip that I have for you to get really good aim in Valorant is to download AimLab, because 1, it's free, and 2, I have probably the best experience improving my aim using this application. More so than anything, more so than the tip I just showed you, and more so than maybe even Deathmatch. Deathmatch is really good for training your like movement mechanics and even cross replacement and stuff, but as far as just raw aim, AimLab has really helped me out in the past. So I'm going to do just like a brief overview of what I like to play. So first you need to understand how to use AimLab. You're going to spawn on this home menu, and then you're going to click training. There is Valorant for game specific. If you want to practice like specific maps for your aim on specific maps and like crosshair placement, there are tasks made by different pros like Tins and Yay. I love Yays. And then there are skills. So these are what I like to use most, the skills. So there's flicking, tracking, speed, precision, cognition, and perception. Definitely by far I want to focus most on flicking and tracking. Perception and cognition are probably the least important, but they are kind of cool. So my favorite tasks, as many of you probably know by now, are grid shot ultimate and six shot. So six shot is really good for micro flicking, and grid shot is really good for like speed and short and long range flicks, right? So six shot's really good for control. And so this is what I would do, guys. I would play aim lab for about 15-20 minutes or more before you play at least, and then go and play comp. You don't really need to go into the range after this. You just need to do this for 15-20 minutes. Once you get started, once you find tasks that you actually enjoy and really want to do, it's going to be much easier to get started, and it won't be very hard to enjoy yourself, right? And then you're going to notice the improvement. You're going to want to keep playing. The hardest part is really starting this as your warm-up, because it's not easy to want to go out of your way and just download this and do it, right? But once you do, you're going to notice big improvements. So, and also keep in mind, really what you choose to play is up to you. So, if you play a task that you hate, it's not going to be the best idea. It's like if you go to work out and you do an exercise that you really don't like, why would you not just pick a task you really enjoy? So that's my tips for you guys. Again, flicking, tracking, speed, precision. There's tasks under all of these, and there are community-made tasks as well. You see most of these are made by AimLab, but then there starts to become some made by people just part of the community, which is really cool. And so just find your favorites, and yeah, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Make sure to buy my aim training course down in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next tip. So the third and final tip that I have to really improve your aim is to, of course, play Deathmatch. So Deathmatch is not going to come as a shock to most of you. Most of you probably dabbled a little bit with Deathmatch in the past. Some of you might like Deathmatch, some of you might not, and some of you might not play it because you're like, it makes me mad, or I don't like playing Deathmatch for XYZ reason. It doesn't really matter if you don't like playing it. At the end of the day, Deathmatch is an extremely valuable tool, and you should be taking advantage of it. So the reason this is because whenever you're put into a Deathmatch game, right, you're taking fights rapidly. You're taking successive and repeated fights over and over and over again, and you're building the muscle memory within your brain to take fights and win them successfully much quicker than you would be if you're playing a game of comp. So I don't know if this makes sense, but if you're in a game of comp, the most kills you're probably going to get, like in most scenarios, is going to be like 30 kills. If you're smurfing, maybe more than that, of course. But in a typical game, you're only going to be killing average maybe like 15 people. So if you think about that, you're taking a good amount of fights, but in a deathmatch game, you take like double or even triple that, right? So this is really good because it just gives you muscle memory, right? So on top of this, you really want to be focusing on training crosshair placement and how you peek. So if you're holding an angle, how you peek, when to wide swing, what peek to use. But above all else, definitely crosshair placement. So crosshair placement is just where are you placing your crosshair? Are you placing your crosshair where the enemy's head is going to be from this specific location? Or what, right? So this is an extremely good tip that I have for you guys. I hope this is going to help you. Again, at the end of the day, I would highly recommend picking probably like 2 out of 3 of these tips to use on a consistent basis. You don't really need all 3. You could use all 3 if you want. But for me, if I were to come back, I would definitely use Deathmatch. And I would probably use some aim lab before Deathmatch. So I would do some aim lab, play like grid shot or something for like 10-15 minutes, and then I would play 2 or 3 death matches. And then that's if I really want to like grind and improve. If you don't really care, then I don't know why you're watching this video. But that's what I have for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure again to buy my aim trainer course. It'll help you get really good aim as well. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this video in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Much love, guys. Peace.